The second Josiah tapped post on Instagram, sharing the intimate photo of him and Samuel exchanging rings in a private ceremony. His life as a top pilot for Horizon Airlines flipped upside down in an instant. He braced for backlash and job loss. But what the airline did next, changing their representative image to one of him and Samuel, changed not only his career, but forced him to confront his deepest fears about love and identity. Josiah Thompson sat in the crew lounge at Chicago O'Hare, phone still warm from the upload, heart hammering against his crisp white shirt. The photo showed him and Samuel on a quiet California beach 2 weeks earlier, both in simple navy suits, waves lapping at their bare feet, while a handful of trusted friends clapped. No fanfare, no big announcement, just two men promising forever. He had stared at the screen for 10 minutes before hitting send, whispering to himself, "This is it. No more hiding." At 32, Josiah had built a perfect facade. Captain on the Chicago to Dallas route, respected by crews, reliable in every emergency simulation. His Texas roots ran deep. Father a retired Air Force colonel who still sent monthly texts about finding a good woman and carrying on the family name. Mother baked pies for church socials and asked about grandkids every Sunday call. Josiah had learned early that silence was safer than truth. College in Chicago had given him space to breathe, but the cockpit demanded the same mask. Samuel Reyes had cracked that mask open 3 years ago at a charity aviation gala. Samuel, 30, worked as a high school history teacher in the suburbs, sharp-eyed and quick to laugh, with a gentle way of listening that made Josiah feel seen for the first time. Their first conversation stretched until the ballroom lights dimmed. Coffee turned into dinners, then stolen weekends in cabins outside the city. Samuel never pushed, never demanded labels. He simply loved Josiah exactly as he was, pilot uniform and all. Yet the weight grew heavier each year. Josiah canceled family visits with excuses about flight schedules. He dodged questions at crew parties. When Samuel suggested moving in together last Christmas, Josiah froze, mumbling about airline policy and optics. The hurt in Samuel's eyes lingered for weeks. Now, staring at the growing likes on his phone, Josiah felt the ground shift. Notifications poured in, friends cheering, strangers tagging news outlets, a few hateful comments already sliding into his DMs. He closed the app and leaned back, closing his eyes. The lounge TV droned with weather updates. His co-pilot, Mike, dropped into the chair across from him, coffee in hand. "Rough night, Cap?" Mike asked, nodding at the phone. "You look like you just landed in a thunderstorm." Josiah forced a smile. Something like that. He wanted to tell Mike the truth, but old habits held his tongue. By the time he boarded his evening flight to Dallas, the post had reached 10,000 views. Passengers smiled at him in the jet bridge, unaware. In the cockpit, Josiah ran through checklists on autopilot. Mind replaying the moment, he slipped the ring onto Samuel's finger. The simple gold band felt heavy on his own hand now, hidden under his glove. Landing in Dallas brought the first real blow. His phone buzzed with a missed call from his father. The voicemail was short, voice tight. "Josiah, what the hell is this picture? Call me." Josiah listened twice, throat closing. He pictured his father in the living room, newspaper in lap, face turning red. The colonel had never accepted anything less than straight-line perfection. Samuel texted next. "You okay?" Saw the numbers climbing. "I'm proud of you, but I'm here if it gets heavy." The words steadied him. Josiah typed back quickly before the next leg. "Love you. We'll talk when I'm home." The overnight in Dallas felt endless. He paced the hotel room, replaying every conversation where he had chosen safety over honesty. College roommate who suspected but never asked. Flight attendant who flirted and whom he gently deflected. Each small lie now stacked like turbulence he could no longer fly above. Morning brought more chaos. Horizon Airlines' official Instagram had liked his post, unusual for a corporate account. Then a direct message from the PR director. "Josiah, the team saw your announcement. We'd love to talk about how we can support. Call when you land in Chicago." Support? Josiah read it 3 times, pulse racing. He had expected HR paperwork or worse. Back in Chicago, Samuel met him at the airport curb, arms open despite the public setting. They hugged quickly, the kind of careful embrace 2 men learned to perfect in plain sight. Samuel's dark hair caught the afternoon light, eyes warm with worry and pride. "You did it," he whispered. "Whatever comes next, we face it together." Josiah nodded, but inside the fear churned. He had opened the door. Now the wind was rushing in. That evening at their small apartment, Samuel cooked pasta while Josiah scrolled comments. Some celebrated. Others called it disgusting for a pilot. One message from his sister read, "Mom's crying. Dad won't talk." "What were you thinking?" Josiah set the phone down, appetite gone. Samuel slid a plate in front of him anyway. "Eat. Then we talk strategy." They stayed up late, mapping worst-case scenarios. Job loss. Family silence. Media circus. Samuel squeezed his hand across the table. "I never asked you to post for me. I just wanted you free." Josiah met his gaze, seeing the years of patience there. In that moment, he realized the post wasn't just about coming out. It was the first honest breath he had taken in decades. The next morning, the airline called. The PR director's voice was calm, professional. "Your story is trending. We're looking at updating our diversity campaign. Would you and Samuel be open to a conversation?" Josiah nearly dropped the phone. Horizon Airlines, known for conservative marketing, wanted to feature them? The unexpected support felt like clear air turbulence, jolting and impossible to predict. He hung up and turned to Samuel, who was grading papers at the kitchen counter. "They want to talk about using our photo." Officially, Samuel's pen froze. For the first time, doubt flickered across his face. Is this real support or just good PR? Josiah had no answer. But the question lodged in his chest like an unanswered checklist item. The journey he had started with one tap was only beginning. Josiah stared at the email confirmation from Horizon's legal team, a meeting scheduled for Thursday at headquarters. The subject line read, "Diversity Initiative Discussion." He forwarded it to Samuel with a single question mark. The reply came fast. "Let's go in together. No more solo flights on this one." Thursday arrived under gray Chicago skies. Josiah wore his best suit, the one Samuel had picked out last Christmas. They drove downtown in silence, hands linked on the gear shift. The corporate building rose like a glass cliff. Inside the conference room, 3 executives waited: PR Director Carla, CEO Mark Reynolds, and a marketing VP. Photos of classic planes lined the walls, all straight-laced crews from decades past. Carla opened a laptop. "Your post reached 2 million views overnight. Comments are split, but the positive ones are passionate. We've been planning a diversity refresh. Your story fits perfectly." She clicked to a mock-up, Josiah and Samuel smiling in the exact wedding photo, overlaid on a new campaign banner. "Horizon Pride," it read. Josiah's mouth went dry. Samuel leaned forward. "You're replacing your official rep image with us?" Reynolds nodded. The old one felt dated. "This shows we stand with our people. Real people." The CEO's tone was measured, but his eyes held genuine warmth. Josiah searched for the catch. None came. They left with contracts and a timeline. The new image would go live in 10 days. Josiah walked out into the wind, feeling lighter than he had in years, until his phone rang. His mother. He answered on speaker in the parking garage. "Josiah, honey, your father saw the news. He's not handling it well." Her voice cracked. "He says you embarrassed the family name. The Colonel's Club is talking." Samuel stayed quiet, giving space. Josiah gripped the steering wheel. "Mom, I'm still your son. This doesn't change that." The line went silent. "I love you both. Tell Dad I'll call when he's ready." He hung up, chest tight. Samuel reached over. "She'll come around. Families take time." But Josiah heard the echo of his own childhood lectures about duty and manhood. The support from work felt hollow against the silence from Texas. That weekend, they flew to California for Samuel's family barbecue. Samuel's parents hugged Josiah like he had always belonged. His younger brother teased about pilot perks. For 2 days, Josiah breathed easy, until a text from his old college roommate appeared. "Dude, saw the post. Mike from the airline called me asking questions." Heads up. Mike? His co-pilot? Josiah's stomach dropped. He had confided in Mike once, years ago, after too many beers. Now that trust circled back like bad weather. Monday's flight to Dallas carried extra tension. Mike sat in the right seat, checking instruments. "Heard the airline's going big with your picture," he said casually. "Bold move, Cap." Josiah kept his eyes on the horizon. It's my life, Mike. The co-pilot shrugged. Just saying, some guys in the crew lounge aren't thrilled. Family values and all. The words landed like crosswinds. Josiah radioed approach control, mind racing. Was Mike warning him or testing him? Landing brought another blow. His sister texted a screenshot. Local Texas news running a story titled "Local Pilots Gay Marriage Rocks Conservative Community." Comments below called for boycotts of Horizon. Josiah showed Samuel that night. They're dragging your name into it too. Samuel read quietly, then set the phone down. Then we face it together. No more hiding in the cockpit. The misunderstanding hit 2 days later. Samuel came home early from school, face drawn. I got a call from a reporter. Said someone from Horizon tipped them that our wedding was rushed because you were scared of being outed. They implied I pressured you. Josiah froze. Only Mike knew the timeline. I never said that to anyone. Samuel's eyes searched his. Then who did? The doubt hung between them for the first time. Josiah reached for him, but Samuel stepped back. I need air. He left for a walk, leaving Josiah alone with the growing storm. That night Josiah lay awake replaying every conversation. The airline's support had opened doors, but it also invited wind that threatened to tear everything apart. Samuel returned after midnight, slipping into bed without a word. Josiah whispered, I'd post it again tomorrow if it meant being honest with you. Samuel's hand found his in the dark. I know, but honesty comes with consequences. The next morning Horizon announced the campaign publicly. Josiah's face, his and Samuel's, replaced the old stock photo on every billboard and website. Notifications exploded. Colleagues sent mixed congratulations. His mother texted a single heart emoji. But his father's silence stretched like an endless runway. Josiah scheduled a video call with the family for Friday. He practiced the words in the mirror. Dad, I'm still the same pilot you raised. I just love a man. Samuel rehearsed with him, patient as always. Yet as the week wore on, Josiah felt the psychological weight press harder. Every passenger glance on his next flight felt loaded. Every crew briefing carried unspoken questions. The support from the company was real, but it couldn't shield him from the internal turbulence he had carried for 32 years. By Thursday evening, Samuel's doubt lingered in small ways, shorter texts, longer hours grading papers. Josiah realized the post had not just exposed him. It had exposed the cracks they had papered over with love. He booked a quiet dinner reservation for Saturday, determined to close the distance before the family call. Little did he know the biggest betrayal was already in motion. Saturday night the restaurant glowed with soft lights, jazz playing low. Josiah arrived first, ring box in his pocket. Not for proposal, but for reassurance. Samuel walked in wearing the blue shirt Josiah loved, smile tentative. They ordered wine and talked about everything except the call looming tomorrow. Halfway through the main course, Samuel set his fork down. I'm sorry I pulled away. The reporter thing shook me. I wondered if part of you regretted posting. Josiah reached across the table. Never. You're the reason I finally did. The words settled something between them. They left holding hands openly, the first time in public without checking over their shoulders. Sunday morning the family video call connected. His mother's face filled the screen first, eyes red. His sister sat beside her. Empty chair for Dad. He's in the garage, Mom said quietly. Josiah introduced Samuel properly for the first time. This is the man I married. He makes me better every day. Samuel waved, warm and steady. Mom managed a small smile. You look happy, son. The sister asked polite questions about teaching. Progress, small but real. Then Dad appeared, arms crossed. You chose this life over everything we taught you. The words cut deep. Josiah kept his voice even. I didn't choose who I love, Dad. But I choose to stop lying about it. The colonel stared hard, then ended the call without another word. Mom whispered, give him time, before signing off. Samuel wrapped his arms around Josiah from behind. You faced him. That's huge. The week blurred with flights and media requests Horizon's team filtered. Josiah flew Dallas again with a different co-pilot. Mike had requested a schedule swap, avoidance or guilt. Josiah couldn't tell. Landing in Chicago, Samuel met him at baggage claim with takeout. Good news, my school principal wants to invite you for a career day. Talk about being out in aviation. Josiah laughed for the first time in days. Small victories stacked like altitude gains. Then the betrayal landed. Wednesday morning, a tabloid headline screamed across his feed, Horizon pilot's secret college romance exposed. Ex-boyfriend speaks out. Attached was an old photo of Josiah and a guy from sophomore year, arms around each other at a party. The ex, someone Josiah hadn't spoken to in 10 years, claimed Josiah had used him then ditched him for the closet. Comments flooded. Horizon's PR scrambled. Samuel read the article in silence, face pale. Did you know he'd do this? Josiah shook his head. I trusted the wrong people once. The misunderstanding exploded that night. Samuel paced the apartment. First Mike leaks to reporters, now this. How many secrets are left, Josiah? Josiah's voice rose for the first time. None. I told you everything. This guy was before you. Samuel stopped. But you never told me about him. Or Mike. I feel like I'm always catching up to your past. The argument stretched until Samuel slept on the couch. Josiah stared at the ceiling, the weight of every hidden year pressing down. Thursday's flight felt mechanical. Josiah went through motions, mind replaying Samuel's hurt expression. In the crew lounge, afterward a flight attendant pulled him aside. Captain, some passengers recognized you. One asked if the airline really supports you now. Josiah answered calmly, but inside the doubt grew. Was the campaign helping or painting a target? That evening Samuel waited with dinner and an apology. I overreacted. I'm scared too. They talked until midnight, laying every card on the table. Josiah shared the college story fully, the fear, the breakup, the decision to bury it. Samuel listened, then shared his own family struggles growing up Latino and gay in a Catholic household. The conversation healed what the tabloid had cracked. Friday brought the turning point. Horizon CEO called personally. The story's everywhere, but engagement is through the roof. We're doubling down. We want you and Samuel at the campaign launch event next month, live on stage. Josiah accepted, but asked for one condition, no more surprises. Reynolds agreed. Driving home, Josiah felt the shift. The external storm had forced him to examine every internal bolt holding him together. Samuel greeted him at the door with a kiss that lingered. Whatever happens at the event, we walk out together. Josiah nodded, ring glinting on his finger. For the first time the future felt navigable. Yet the sacrifice loomed. His father's continued silence gnawed. Josiah booked a ticket to Texas for the following weekend, alone. Samuel understood. Tell him the truth, all of it. I'll be here when you land. The decision carried risk, but Josiah knew some landings required solo approaches. Saturday morning, he boarded as passenger for the first time in years. The plane climbed over Lake Michigan, Chicago shrinking below. Josiah closed his eyes and pictured the man waiting in Texas, the man he still hoped could love him completely. The altitude brought clarity. Love wasn't about perfect conditions. It was about flying through the storm anyway. The rental car smelled of Texas dust as Josiah drove the familiar route to his childhood home. Oak trees lined the street, American flags waving from porches. He parked and sat for 5 minutes, steeling himself. The front door opened before he knocked. His mother pulled him into a tight hug. He's in the backyard. Colonel Thompson sat at the picnic table, newspaper open, coffee cooling. He didn't look up at first. Josiah sat across from him. Dad, I'm here because I'm tired of the distance. The colonel folded the paper slowly. You chose a path that goes against everything this family stands for. Josiah met his eyes. I chose love. The same way you chose Mom. Silence stretched. Then, unexpectedly, his father asked, Does he make you happy? Josiah answered without hesitation. Every single day. The conversation wasn't perfect. Old arguments surfaced, military honor, legacy, faith. But for the first time his father listened instead of lectured. When Josiah left that evening, the colonel shook his hand at the door. Fly safe, son. It wasn't full acceptance, but it was runway lights in the dark. Josiah drove away lighter, texting Samuel, Progress. Real progress. Back in Chicago the campaign launch loomed. Rehearsals filled evenings. Josiah and Samuel practiced lines on stage at Horizon headquarters. Carla coached them on handling tough questions. Authenticity sells, she said. Samuel squeezed Josiah's knee under the table. We've got this. The misunderstanding with Mike surfaced publicly. A crew member overheard Mike bragging in the lounge about helping the story along by tipping off the college ex. Josiah confronted him in the parking lot after a shift. Why? Mike looked away. Thought the airline would drop you. Figured I'd get your routes. The betrayal stung deeper than expected. Josiah reported it quietly to HR. Mike was reassigned. The friendship, once solid, shattered completely. Samuel held him that night. You lost a friend, but you gained your voice. Josiah nodded, realizing the sacrifice had cleared space for real connections. Launch day arrived under bright Chicago sun. The event hall packed with media, employees, and LGBTQ advocates. Josiah stood on stage in uniform, Samuel beside him in a sharp suit. The new billboard dropped behind them, their wedding photo larger than life. Applause thundered. Josiah spoke first. I hid for years because I thought the sky had no room for the truth. Today Horizon is proving it does. Samuel added, love isn't a distraction from duty. It's what keeps us flying straight. Questions came fast. A reporter asked about family. Josiah answered honestly, my dad and I are talking again. That matters more than any headline. Another pressed Samuel on the college leak. Samuel smiled calmly. Past mistakes don't define present love. The room warmed. Afterward, in the green room, Reynolds shook their hands. The new rep image is already boosting bookings. But more importantly, crews are talking differently. Josiah felt the weight lift. The airline's bold support had not only saved his career, it had rewritten the rules for everyone behind him. That night they celebrated quietly on their balcony. Samuel rested his head on Josiah's shoulder. We made it through the worst. Josiah kissed his temple. And we're stronger for it. Yet one more test waited. His sister called the next morning. Dad wants to meet Samuel. In person. Next month in Texas. The invitation carried years of unspoken hope. Josiah looked at Samuel across the breakfast table. You up for it? Samuel grinned. As long as there's pie. The weeks that followed brought small joys. Crew members approached Josiah in the lounge with quiet thanks. One flight attendant shared her own coming-out story. Passengers recognized them and offered congratulations. The psychological conflict that once defined Josiah's every decision began to fade, replaced by quiet confidence. Samuel's school invited him for career day. Josiah stood in front of teenagers, uniform sharp, and spoke about navigating identity in high-pressure jobs. A shy student raised his hand afterward. How did you know it was time? Josiah answered gently, when hiding hurt more than the truth. The boy's grateful nod stayed with him the entire flight home. Fall colors painted Chicago as the Texas trip approached. Josiah and Samuel packed light, nerves humming beneath excitement. Samuel practiced small talk about history and planes. Josiah rehearsed answers to inevitable questions. On the plane, Josiah riding as passenger again. He held Samuel's hand openly. The flight attendant smiled without comment. Small signs the world was shifting. Landing in Dallas, his mother waited at arrivals with a homemade sign. Welcome home, both of you. The drive to the house felt shorter this time. His father stood on the porch, posture straight but eyes softer. Handshakes turned into cautious hugs. Dinner stretched long with stories, Samuel charming everyone with tales of teaching Civil War battles. The colonel even laughed once. Later on the back porch, father and son sat alone. I was wrong to shut you out, the older man admitted. Seeing you two together, it's clear this is real. Josiah's throat tightened. Thanks, Dad. No grand speeches, just quiet acknowledgement. The acceptance he had chased for years arrived not with fanfare, but with simple presence. Back in Chicago, life settled into new rhythms. Horizon expanded the campaign. Josiah received a promotion to training captain, mentoring young pilots on inclusive leadership. Samuel's school started a support group inspired by his talks. Their apartment filled with framed photos, wedding, launch event, Texas porch. Yet growth demanded one final confrontation. Mike reached out via email. I was jealous. Sorry. Josiah read it twice, then deleted without reply. Some bridges stayed burned. The decision brought peace. He had sacrificed the friendship but gained integrity. Winter arrived with holiday flights. Josiah worked Christmas Eve, landing in Chicago at midnight. Samuel waited at the gate with hot chocolate and a small gift, a custom keychain shaped like a plane with both their initials. They walked to the car through light snow, talking about future plans, maybe adopting, maybe buying a house with a bigger yard. The conversation felt easy, rooted in the hard-won trust they had rebuilt. New Year's Eve they hosted a small dinner, close friends, a few supportive crew members. Toasts circled the table. One pilot raised his glass. To the man who changed the sky for all of us. Josiah blushed, but raised his own. Samuel's hand rested on his knee under the table, steady anchor. January brought reflection. Josiah sat in the cockpit before a dawn flight, watching sunrise paint the horizon gold. The same view he had seen 1,000 times now carried new meaning. No more hiding behind checklists. The post that started everything had stripped away layers until only truth remained. Samuel's face appeared in his mind, laughing on the beach, steady during storms. Love had not been the destination. It had been the navigation system all along. A surprise awaited at home that evening. Samuel had framed the New Horizon billboard photo and hung it above the couch. So we never forget where we started. Josiah pulled him close. And where we're going. The months rolled on with steady altitude. Family visits became regular. His mother sent care packages with extra pie for Samuel. The colonel even asked for flight schedules so he could wave from the observation deck. Societal pressure still existed, occasional rude comments online, but they rolled off like light rain on a windshield. Josiah had learned the controls. One spring evening they walked along Lake Michigan, wind off the water carrying promises. Samuel stopped under a street lamp. "Remember when you thought posting that photo would end everything?" Josiah smiled. "Now it feels like it began everything." They kissed openly, city lights reflecting in the water. No cameras, no fear, just two men who had fought through every cloud layer and emerged into clear skies. Summer heat shimmered over Chicago runways as Josiah prepared for his favorite route, Chicago to San Francisco. Samuel rode along in the jump seat, a rare treat arranged by the airline. Passengers recognized them during boarding, offering quiet thumbs up. In the cockpit, Samuel watched with wide eyes as Josiah guided the heavy jet into the sky. "You make it look easy," he said over the intercom. Josiah grinned. Years of practice hiding turbulence. At cruising altitude, the truth settled deeper. The journey that began with one Instagram tap had reshaped more than his own life. Horizon reported record applications from LGBTQ pilots. Crew lounges hosted open conversations. His own growth showed in small decisions. Mentoring a nervous first officer who came out during training, advocating for better family benefits. Each action proved acceptance wasn't a single post, but daily choices. Landing in San Francisco brought golden light over the bay. They rented a convertible and drove the coast, wind whipping through their hair. At the same beach where they married, Josiah pulled Samuel close. Waves crashed the same rhythm as 2 years earlier. "Thank you for waiting while I found my courage." Samuel kissed him softly. "Thank you for finally using it." Back home, the apartment felt different, lighter, fuller. They hung new art, a painting of two pilots walking toward a sunrise. Friends visited more often. Family calls came weekly. Even the colonel sent a birthday card addressed to both my sons. The words carried quiet power. Josiah stood on their balcony one evening, watching city lights stretch toward the airport. Samuel joined him, arms sliding around his waist. "What are you thinking?" Josiah answered honestly. "How far we've flown." They stayed there until stars appeared, content in the silence that no longer needed hiding. The story that started with shock had ended in peace. Not perfect, but real. Josiah had faced every fear, sacrificed illusions, and discovered strength he never knew he carried. Samuel's love had been the steady heading. Together they had rewritten the manual. True or false, coming out is always worth the personal cost, no matter how high the stakes.